The unexpected war. Josh never thought his peaceful life on Vega 9 would turn into a nightmare. He was just an ordinary human living in a small colony, running a simple repair shop and receiving his daily deliveries from Zyra, the alien mail carrier. She was a Qtali, a species known for their 4 arms, blue skin, and long, expressive tails. Josh always thought she was friendly, maybe a little too friendly sometimes, but he never suspected anything unusual. Until one day, everything changed. The strange behavior begins. Josh first noticed something was off when Zyra delivered his usual package, a few spare parts for his broken generator. Instead of her usual cheerful greeting, she stood still, staring at him intensely. Her golden eyes flickered in a way that made him uneasy. You okay, Zyra?" he asked, taking the package. Zyra leaned in too close, her tail twitching. "You smell different today, human." Josh frowned. "I smell the same as always. Soap and engine oil." Zyra's gaze narrowed, and her sharp claws lightly scratched the wooden frame of his shop's door. She murmured before stepping back. Josh watched her walk away, a strange growl escaping her lips. That was weird. Zyra was always confident, always teasing him. But this felt predatory. The warning Josh ignored. Later that evening, Josh visited the colony's small community center, where different alien species gathered to share news. He found himself chatting with Drax, an old, wrinkled Qtali elder who had lived among humans for years. Josh, still thinking about Zyra's weird behavior, casually mentioned, "Hey, Drax, is it normal for a Qtali to act? I don't know, aggressive. Like staring, growling, getting too close." Drax's yellow eyes widened in shock. He grabbed Josh's arm with surprising strength. "Human, did a Qtali female do this to you?" Josh hesitated. Yeah." Drax let out a low whistle, shaking his head. "Oh, you poor fool. You are in danger." Josh chuckled nervously. "Come on, Zyra's not dangerous. She is in mating season." Josh froze. "Excuse me, what?" Drax lowered his voice, glancing around before speaking. "Every 10 years, Qtali females go through a powerful mating cycle. Their instincts take over. They become obsessive, territorial. They choose a mate, and once marked, the male has only 2 choices, accept or challenge." Josh blinked. "Wait, hold on. What do you mean by marked?" Drax's eyes narrowed. "Did she growl at you?" Josh's stomach dropped. "Oh, crap." Drax nodded solemnly. "Then it is already too late. You are her chosen mate." Josh jumped out of his seat. No, that's insane. I'm a human. She's an alien. That doesn't even make sense." Drax sighed. "Qtali instincts do not care for logic, boy. If you do not accept, she will see any other female near you as a threat. And if another Qtali male challenges for her, you will be caught in a war you did not ask for." Josh felt his throat go dry. "War?" Drax nodded gravely. "Yes. Because to Zyra, you are already hers. The first battle begins." Josh rushed home, his heart pounding. This was insane. Zyra was his mail carrier, not his girlfriend. She couldn't just claim him like some kind of primitive tribal warrior. But the moment he stepped inside, his door slammed shut behind him. He spun around, and there she was. Zyra stood inside his house, her tail flicking with excitement, her golden eyes glowing in the dim light. She looked different, her posture predatory, her sharp nails tapping against the table. Josh took a step back. "Zyra, what the hell are you doing?" Zyra tilted her head, watching him closely. "I have waited long enough, Josh. The others are beginning to notice you." Josh's stomach twisted. "Others?" Zyra smirked, stepping closer. "I am not the only Qtali female on this colony, and I will not let another take what is mine." Josh swallowed hard. Listen, Zyra, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Bam! Something slammed into his roof, shaking the entire house. Josh barely had time to react before the front door exploded inward, and 3 massive Qtali males stormed in. Their eyes locked onto Josh. Their claws flexed. One of them, larger than the others, growled deeply. Zyra, your claim is weak. The human does not acknowledge you. Zyra's tail lashed violently behind her. Then I will prove my right to him. Josh paled. Oh, hell no. The unexpected war. Before Josh could react, Zyra launched herself at the biggest Qtali male, claws flashing in the dim light. The room turned into a battlefield. Zyra fighting off the intruders, the males roaring in challenge, furniture smashing as bodies crashed into walls. Josh barely had time to dodge before a chair flew past his head, splintering against the wall. His quiet life on Vega 9. Completely over. Now he was caught in a war between aliens, all because of one simple mistake. He had ignored the warning, and now Zyra was fighting for his claim, whether he liked it or not. No escape from destiny. Josh barely had time to process what was happening. His once peaceful home had turned into an alien battleground, with Zyra brawling like a wild beast against 3 towering Qtali males. The biggest one, Vorak, had sharp ridges along his arms and a deep growl that made Josh's skin crawl. His golden eyes locked onto Josh like a predator sizing up prey. You do not deserve her, human. Vorak's voice was like thunder, his muscles flexing as he advanced. Josh gulped, stumbling backward. Whoa. I never signed up for this. Zyra snarled and lunged, slamming into Vorak with bone-crunching force. They crashed through Josh's wooden table, sending shattered pieces flying. Another Qtali male, Torek, moved with impossible speed, grabbing Josh's arm in an iron grip. She fights for you, yet you do not even acknowledge her claim. Weak. Josh gritted his teeth, yanking his arm free. I don't belong to anyone. But Torek lashed his tail around Josh's ankle, pulling him down hard. His head smacked the floor, pain flaring through his skull. Zyra's head snapped toward them, her eyes burning with rage. You dare touch him. Before Torek could react, Zyra was on him, claws digging into his shoulder as she ripped him away from Josh. Torek hissed in pain, trying to retaliate, but Zyra was merciless. Her knee slammed into his ribs, sending him skidding across the room. Josh scrambled to his feet, breathing hard. His house was wrecked, and he was now officially part of a Qtali dominance battle. I just wanted to fix my generator. He thought bitterly. A dangerous proposition. Vorak shook off the blow, his predatory grin growing. You fight well, Zyra, but you cannot claim a mate who does not accept you. Tali law demands it. Zyra bared her fangs, wiping blood from her lip. He will accept. Josh froze. Wait. What? Vorak crossed his arms. Then let him prove it. The room went dead silent. Josh's stomach twisted. Define, prove it. Torek, still recovering, grinned wickedly. A Qtali female in mating season must complete the bond before the challenge is fully settled. If the human refuses, then Zyra's claim is void, and she belongs to the strongest challenger. Josh's heart dropped. Belongs. Vorak smirked. We will take her instead. Josh turned to Zyra, panic in his eyes. She looked dead serious, her tail coiling in agitation, her muscles tense. For the first time, Josh realized this wasn't just a game to her. If he rejected her, Zyra would be forcibly taken by one of these males. She wasn't fighting for fun. She was fighting for survival. Running is not an option. Josh's first instinct was to run. Find the colony governor, report the fight. Have someone, anyone, step in and stop this madness. But then Zyra locked eyes with him, and what he saw made his breath hitch. She wasn't just angry, she was desperate. Josh, If I lose this fight, I lose my freedom. She didn't say it out loud, but the message was clear as day. Josh clenched his fists. This was so unfair. He never asked for this. He didn't want to be part of some weird alien love triangle, quadrangle, whatever this was. But if he turned his back now, Zyra would be claimed by someone she didn't want. And suddenly, that thought pissed him off. Josh straightened, rolling his shoulders. All right, listen up, lizard boys. The Scifitales males turned to him in surprise. Josh cracked his neck. If I gotta prove my claim, then let's do this. On my terms. Zyra's eyes widened. Josh. Vorak raised an eyebrow. Oh, the human is willing to fight. Josh shook his head. Not a fight. A challenge. The Scifitales males exchanged confused glances. A challenge. Josh smirked. Yeah, you guys fight like animals. But humans? We win with our brains. Zyra stared at him, a flicker of admiration in her gaze. Name your challenge, human, Vorak growled. Josh exhaled, thinking fast. He couldn't outfight these guys, but he sure as hell could outsmart them. Then, a crazy idea hit him. You want a true test? Josh crossed his arms. Then let's make it real. A survival challenge. You, me, Zyra, and your little band of idiots. 1 week, unarmed in the Deathclaw Wastes. Vorak's eyes narrowed. The Deathclaw Wastes. Josh grinned. You scared. The Deathclaw Wastes were a brutal, unforgiving stretch of desert on Vega 9, filled with sandstorms, predators, and zero resources. Even trained mercenaries avoided it. It was a death sentence. Vorak snarled. You think you can survive a week out there, human? Josh shrugged. Better question, can you? Torek scowled. And how does this prove anything? Josh's smile turned sharp. Simple. Zyra gets to choose her mate based on who survives the week. If she picks me, you back off. If I die, well, you win. A beat of silence. Then, laughter. Vorak grinned. Ha! You have courage, human. I respect that. Josh barely stopped himself from sighing in relief. He was completely making this up as he went. But it was his best shot. Vorak turned to Zyra. Is this acceptable to you? Zyra's eyes softened as she looked at Josh. He's fighting for me. She nodded. Yes. Vorak smirked. Then it is settled. We leave at dawn. As the Scifitales males exited, Josh finally let out the breath he'd been holding. Zyra stepped closer, eyes searching his face. Why did you do that? Josh sighed. Because I'm not gonna let anyone force you into something you don't want. Not even me. Zyra blinked, as if she hadn't expected that answer. Then, suddenly, she smiled. Not the teasing, flirtatious grin she usually had. A real smile. Josh swallowed. All right. We got 1 week to figure out how not to die. You got any survival skills? Zyra grinned, flexing her claws. More than you, male boy. Josh sighed. Yeah, we're totally gonna die. Into the Deathclaw Wastes. Josh stood at the edge of the Deathclaw Wastes, staring into the endless desert of burning sand, jagged rock formations, and swirling dust storms. Somewhere out there, alien predators with razor-sharp claws were waiting, and the sun was already blistering hot. 1 week. He had 1 week to survive against 3 battle-hardened Scifitales warriors, all of whom wanted Zyra as their mate. And he was just a human mechanic who, until yesterday, thought the biggest problem in his life was fixing a broken generator. What the hell did I just get myself into? The rules are set. Vorak, the largest and most dangerous of the Scifitales challengers, turned to them. His golden eyes gleamed with anticipation. The challenge begins now. No weapons, no supplies, only what we can find and hunt. Josh barely stopped himself from cursing out loud. He had been hoping the Q-Tally would bring at least some supplies. But no, these aliens were proud warriors who saw survival as a test of strength and dominance. Zira stood beside him, looking calm but focused. She had chosen this challenge, meaning she was committed. Josh, he was just trying to stay alive. Vorak cracked his knuckles. At the end of 7 days, whoever is left standing will have proven their worth. Zira will choose her mate from among us. Josh exhaled slowly, trying to ignore how the other Q-Tally males were already eyeing him like prey. Stay calm. Think. Outlast them. Vorak raised his massive arm and pointed into the desert. Let's see who truly deserts her. Then, without another word, the 4 Q-Tally warriors charged forward, disappearing into the rocky wasteland. Zira glanced at Josh. We should move. Josh nodded, taking a deep breath. Right. Let's not die. The desert's first trial. By the 3rd hour, Josh was already drenched in sweat. The Vega-9 sun was twice as harsh as Earth's, and he was quickly realizing that humans were not built for this environment. Zira, on the other hand, moved through the dunes like a predator in its natural habitat. Her Q-Tally biology let her endure the heat, and she barely looked bothered. Great, I'm partnered with an alien super soldier. Josh wiped his forehead. Tell me there's at least water out here somewhere. Zira smirked, pulling him toward a jagged rock formation. Follow me. She led him to a hidden crevice, where cool shade covered a narrow pool of water dripping from the rocks. Josh almost collapsed in relief. You're a lifesaver. Zira watched him drink, her tail flicking. You'll need to adapt quickly, Josh. Vorak and the others won't just hunt for food. They'll hunt us too. Josh paused mid-drink. Come again. Zira's expression turned serious. They're not just here to survive. They're here to eliminate the competition. If they get the chance, they'll take you out first. Josh nearly choked on his water. So not only do I have to survive a desert full of deadly creatures, but I also have to avoid getting assassinated by giant alien warriors. Zira's lips curved into a playful smirk. Exactly. Josh groaned, rubbing his face. I hate my life. The first attack. They had barely left the water source when Josh heard a low guttural growl. His heart jumped into his throat. Please tell me that was your stomach. Zira's ears twitched and her body went rigid. Run. Josh didn't ask questions, he just ran. Behind them, the sand exploded as a death-claw beast emerged, an 8-legged reptilian predator the size of a truck, with razor-sharp mandibles and a tail that looked like it could skewer a man in one hit. Josh cursed. Why does everything on this planet want to eat me? Zira grabbed his arm, dragging him behind a massive boulder. Stay quiet. Josh held his breath, trying not to panic. He could hear the beast sniffing the air, searching for its prey. Then, a second sound. Footsteps. Heavy, calculated. Josh glanced sideways and saw Torik, one of the Q-Tally warriors, standing on a rock above them, grinning. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Torik shouted, throwing a rock toward Josh's hiding spot. The human is here. The death claw snapped its head in their direction. Josh's heart stopped. Oh, you son of a... The beast lunged at them, fighting for survival. Josh and Zira leaped away just as the death claw slammed into the boulder, shattering it into pieces. Torik laughed, stepping down from his perch. Good luck, human. Then, the bastard ran off, leaving them to die. Josh gritted his teeth. I am going to kill him. Zira grabbed his wrist. Focus. Move. The death claw lunged again, its jaws snapping inches from Josh's face. He barely managed to dodge, stumbling over the loose sand. Zira whipped her tail, slashing at the beast's eye, but it only roared in fury. Josh frantically searched for anything. A weapon, a distraction, a way out. Then he spotted it, a natural rock bridge above them. That might work. Josh grabbed Zira's arm. We need to get it up there. Zara hesitated for only a second before nodding. I hope you have a plan. I hope so too. They ran, dodging another deadly swipe from the death claw. Josh climbed up the rock bridge, Zara right behind him. The beast snarled, furious that its prey was escaping. It charged at the base of the rock, its weight shaking the structure. Josh turned to Zara. We make it mad. It charges, we jump. Zara's eyes gleamed with understanding. Smart, human. Josh threw a rock at the beast's face. Hey, you UGLY lizard. You suck. The death claw roared, and just as it charged at full speed, they jumped. The beast slammed into the rock bridge at full force. Crack. The bridge collapsed, and the death claw plummeted into a ravine below, disappearing in a cloud of dust. Josh landed hard, coughing from the impact. Zara rolled to her feet, dusting herself off. Josh groaned. I am never doing that again. Zara grinned, offering him a hand. You survived. That's what matters. Josh took her hand, pulling himself up. He was exhausted, sore, and running on pure adrenaline. But he was still alive. And Torek had just made an enemy for life. Josh dusted himself off and cracked his knuckles. All right. Now, let's talk revenge. Blood in the sand. Josh's heart was still pounding from the near-death experience with the death claw. His entire body ached, his throat was parched, and his legs felt like jelly. He wanted to collapse, but there was no time to rest. They had survived, but now it was personal. Torek had betrayed them, using the death claw as a weapon to get rid of him. That meant one thing. This wasn't just a survival challenge anymore. It was war. Josh gritted his teeth as he dusted off his torn shirt. That bastard almost got me killed. Zara stood beside him, her golden eyes still sharp, calculating their next move. I told you, the others wouldn't hesitate to eliminate you. You're their biggest obstacle now. Josh let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, because everyone's just dying to fight over me. Zara's tail twitched, and for a second, her expression softened. You're not just some human to them anymore, Josh. Vorak, Torek, even the others, they see you as a threat. The longer you survive, the more you prove that I made the right choice. Josh blinked. Wait, hold on. Made the right choice. What does that mean? Zara hesitated for a moment before shaking her head. We need to move. Vorak won't stay quiet for long. Josh narrowed his eyes. There was something she wasn't telling him. But now wasn't the time to argue. Tracking the traitor. They moved cautiously through the dunes, sticking to the shadows of jagged rock formations to avoid being spotted. The sun was starting to dip lower, casting long, golden shadows across the wasteland. Zara crouched down, studying the ground. Torek went this way. Josh frowned, crouching beside her. How do you know? Zara pointed to the sand, where deep footprints trailed off toward the rocky hills. Kali footprints are heavier than humans. The way his steps are uneven, he's favoring an injury. He probably hurt himself escaping the death claw attack. Josh raised an eyebrow. You're seriously tracking footprints like some kind of bounty hunter. Zara smirked, flashing her sharp fangs. I was raised by warriors, Josh. Unlike you, I was trained to hunt. Josh rolled his eyes. Yeah, well, I was raised on video games and fixing engines. But guess what? We both survived. Zara chuckled. Fair point, male boy. They followed Torek's tracks for almost an hour, moving swiftly but carefully. The footprints led them toward a narrow canyon, where the wind howled between the rocks like a ghostly whisper. Josh squinted at the passage. This feels like a trap. Zara nodded. It is, but we don't have a choice. They moved forward, pressing against the rocky walls. The canyon was tight and claustrophobic, the perfect place for an ambush. Josh's fingers twitched. He wished he had a weapon. Anything. A blaster, a knife. Hell, even a sharp stick. Then he heard it. A low chuckle. Josh spun around, but it was too late. A hand clamped over his mouth. Caught in the web. Josh struggled, thrashing against the grip, but the arms holding him were like iron. Zyra's head snapped toward him, eyes flashing with rage. Let him go. Torek stepped out of the shadows, his smirk filled with mocking amusement. I knew you'd come after me, human. Josh managed to break free, stumbling back, glaring at the Q-Tally trader. Yeah. Well, maybe don't try to feed people to monsters next time. Torek grinned. It was nothing personal. Just survival. Josh wiped the sweat from his brow. Yeah. Well, now it's personal. Vorak emerged from behind a rock, his massive arms crossed. His golden eyes glowed in the dim light. You should have stayed hidden, human. Now you face the consequences. Josh felt his stomach drop. This wasn't just Torek. This was an ambush. 3 more Q-Tally warriors stepped out of the darkness surrounding them. They were all bigger, stronger, and armed with jagged bone knives, weapons they had probably made from the creatures they'd killed. Josh cursed under his breath. You guys said no weapons. Torek laughed. You said that, human. We never agreed. Zyra hissed, her tail lashing violently. You dishonor the challenge. Vorak smirked. Only if we lose. Josh's mind raced. They were outnumbered, outmatched, and cornered. There was no way they could win a straight fight. Unless... He glanced at Zyra, then at the canyon walls. The rock formations. An idea hit him like a bolt of lightning. Zyra, he murmured, keeping his voice low. Can you take 3 of them? She glanced at him sideways, her eyes sharp. Are you joking? Josh grinned, stepping forward. All right, fellas. You want me? Come get me. He turned on his heel and ran. Torek and the warriors roared, giving chase. Zyra hesitated for only a second, then took down the closest Q-Tally with a devastating tail whip, knocking him unconscious. Josh sprinted toward the narrowest part of the canyon, the place where the rock formations looked the weakest. Come on, you OVE or Giro-Dodian lizards, he shouted. Torek was gaining fast, fangs bared. You can't run forever, human. Josh reached the dead end and skidded to a stop. Torek and the others surrounded him, panting heavily. Nowhere left to run. Josh grinned. Who said I was running? And then he kicked the canyon wall. The impact shook the loose rock above them. Vorak's eyes widened. No, but it was too late. The weakened rock collapsed, burying Torek and his allies under a cloud of dust and debris. Josh coughed, stepping back, his heart hammering in his chest. The dust cleared, and only Vorak remained standing, his golden eyes glowing with fury. Josh clenched his fists. 1 down, 1 to go. The battle for dominance. Zyra landed beside Josh, wiping blood from her cheek. Vorak cracked his knuckles, stepping forward. You've proven you're clever, human, but you still lack strength. Josh exhaled, shaking his arms loose. Yeah, well, let's test that theory. Vorak charged like a bull. Josh dodged left, but the impact of Vorak's punch still sent him flying back. Pain exploded through his ribs, and he barely managed to stay standing. Zyra attacked from behind, leaping onto Vorak's back, clawing at his face. Vorak roared, grabbing her and throwing her into the rocks. Josh saw Zyra collapse, groaning in pain. Something inside him snapped. Josh lunged forward, wrapping his arms around Vorak's throat, locking his grip tight. Vorak staggered, clawing at him, but Josh refused to let go. He gritted his teeth. You're not taking her. With one final burst of strength, he twisted hard. And Vorak collapsed, unconscious. Josh fell back, gasping for breath. Zyra sat up, staring at him. Josh. He turned to her, sweat dripping down his face. It's over, he breathed. Zyra smiled. And for the first time, Josh realized he wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. He was fighting for her. The claim of the chosen. Josh collapsed onto his knees, panting heavily, his body aching from the brutal fight. The canyon was eerily silent, the echoes of battle still lingering in the air. Vorak lay unconscious, his massive form sprawled across the rocky ground. The dust from the collapsed rockslide still hung thick, half burying Torek and his allies. It was over. Josh had won. Zyra, bruised but still fierce, sat against a boulder, her golden eyes locked onto him. The way she looked at him was different now, not just admiration, but something deeper, something dangerous. Josh swallowed hard, his heart pounding. I did it. I actually survived. But what happens now? The last warrior stands. Zyra pushed herself to her feet, moving toward Josh with predatory grace. He barely had time to react before she grabbed his arm, pulling him to his feet. You did it, she murmured. Josh winced, rubbing his sore ribs. Yeah, I also think I cracked a few bones in the process. Zyra grinned, brushing a hand across his chest, tracing the bruises with her fingertips. Then let's get you patched up, human. You're mine now. Josh froze. Wait, what? He glanced around, still trying to process everything. Vorak was down. Torek was buried under rubble. There was no one left standing. That meant Zyra had won. And by Q-Tally law, the victor claimed their mate. Josh took a step back, rubbing the back of his neck. Zyra, let's slow down a second here. Zyra's tail flicked, her expression amused. Slow down. You survived 7 days in the wastes. You defeated Vorak, and you chose to fight for me. Josh stiffened. I fought to survive. Zyra's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't you run? Josh opened his mouth, but no words came out. He could have run. He could have left Zyra to fight on her own. He could have tried to find another way to escape the challenge. But he didn't. Instead, he stood his ground. He fought for her. He risked everything. And now he was stuck with the consequences. The final decision. Zyra took another step forward, her golden eyes glowing in the dim light. You proved yourself, Josh, she said, her voice softer this time. I don't expect you to understand Q-Tally traditions, but what you did, it means everything. Josh let out a breath, running a hand through his messy hair. This is insane, he muttered. I'm just a guy who fixes engines. How did I go from that to being in some alien survival battle for my own? Zyra raised an eyebrow, smirking. Mate. Josh's face burned. I was gonna say life, but sure, let's go with that. Zyra chuckled. You act like this is a bad thing. Josh gave her a pointed look. Oh, you mean the part where I almost got eaten, stabbed, or crushed by alien warriors? Yeah, I'd say that's pretty high on the bad thing list. Zyra tilted her head, watching him closely. But you'd do it again, wouldn't you? Josh's mouth opened, then closed. And that was the problem. He would do it again. Because deep down, he wasn't just fighting to stay alive anymore. Somewhere along the way, he had started fighting for her. Josh sighed, shaking his head. What happens now? Zyra's expression turned serious. Now we return to the colony, and we make it official. Josh blinked. Wait. Official? What does that mean? Zyra's tail coiled around his wrist, possessive and firm. It means that by Q-Tally law, we're bound. Josh felt his stomach drop. Bound. Zyra grinned. Mated. You're mine now, human. Josh stared at her. Oh, hell no. Back to civilization. Or not. The walk back to the colony was long and exhausting. Josh had lost track of time in the wastes, but by the time they arrived, the sun was already setting. The colony's tall metallic walls gleamed under the twilight, the faint hum of generators filling the air. Josh barely had time to step through the gates before dozens of eyes turned toward them. Whispers filled the air. The human survived. That can't be right. He beat Vorak. And Zyra. She claimed him. Josh felt his stomach churn as the realization hit him. Everyone knew. A large Q-Tally official, dressed in dark robes, stepped forward. His piercing gaze landed on Josh before shifting to Zyra. "Is the challenge complete?" he asked. Zyra stood tall. "Yes." The official nodded. "And the victor's claim?" Zyra's golden eyes never left Josh's. "I claim him." The crowd erupted into shocked murmurs. Josh froze, his heart pounding. This is happening. This is actually happening. The official turned to Josh, his expression unreadable. "Human, you have fought well, but do you accept the claim?" Silence. Josh felt Zyra's warm gaze on him, waiting for his answer. He could say no. He could walk away. But did he want to? Did he want to leave behind the one person who had fought for him just as much as he had fought for her? Josh took a deep breath, looking Zyra in the eye. And then, he made his choice. "I accept. A new beginning." The crowd roared. And just like that, Josh wasn't just a human mechanic anymore. He was Zyra's mate. And that was only the beginning. A human among aliens. The colony was buzzing with excitement as word of Josh's acceptance spread like wildfire. A human, one of the weakest species in the galaxy, had not only survived the Deathclaw wastes, but had defeated Vorak, outwitted Torik, and claimed a Q-Tally mate. This had never happened before. As Josh stood in the center of the crowd, every eye was on him. Some stared in shock, others in amusement, and a few, especially the larger, bulkier Q-Tally warriors, looked at him with thinly veiled hostility. He wasn't just an outsider anymore. Now he was part of their traditions, part of their world. And that was terrifying. The ceremony begins. Josh barely had time to process what was happening before the colony's elder, a tall, silver-scaled Q-Tally named Grand Seer Malroth, stepped forward. The elder's piercing golden eyes locked onto Josh, studying him with the weight of centuries. "You have done what no other human has before," Malroth said in a deep, echoing voice. "You have fought in our challenge, stood against our warriors, and emerged victorious. By Q-Tally law, you are now one of us. And yet," the elder tilted his head slightly, "you are still human." Josh swallowed, shifting on his feet. Yeah, that's not exactly something I can change." A few Q-Tally chuckled. Others watched in stony silence. Malroth nodded. "And yet, you have accepted Zyra's claim. You have chosen her as your mate, and she has chosen you." Josh glanced at Zyra, who stood tall and proud beside him. Her tail flicked in satisfaction, her golden eyes gleaming with something he couldn't quite read. Josh felt his stomach twist. Did I really just agree to this? The elder turned to Zyra. "You fought well, Zyra of the Shadowfang clan. Do you still stand by your choice?" Zyra didn't hesitate. "Yes, I stand by my claim. He is mine." Josh's face burned. Does she have to say it like that in front of everyone? Malroth smiled faintly. "Then the bond shall be sealed in the ways of our people." Josh froze. "Hold on. What does that mean?" The crowd suddenly parted, and two Q-Tally servants stepped forward, carrying a large ceremonial bowl filled with a thick, shimmering blue liquid. Josh's stomach dropped. "Oh no, this isn't some weird blood ritual, is it?" he whispered to Zyra. Zyra grinned. "Not exactly." Josh wasn't convinced. "Define, not exactly." The elder raised a hand. "The ritual of unity shall begin." Josh groaned. "I hate rituals." "The ritual of unity." Zyra took a step forward, dipping her clawed fingers into the shimmering blue liquid. The moment her skin touched the substance, the liquid began to glow, sending ripples of soft golden light through the air. Josh watched warily. So, what exactly is this stuff? Malroth's eyes gleamed. It is the bonding elixir made from the sacred roots of the Varkesh plant. When consumed by two individuals, it links them in mind and spirit. Josh's brain short-circuited. Wait. What do you mean links them? Zaira turned to him, her smirk dangerously amused. It means that after this, you'll be able to feel what I feel. And I'll be able to feel what you feel. Josh's eyes widened. Oh, hell no. The elder gestured toward the bowl. Drink, and the bond will be complete. Josh took a step back. Nope. No way. I like my privacy. Thank you very much. Zaira's tail curled around his wrist, stopping him. Josh. He looked at her, expecting amusement. Instead, he saw something else. Something serious. This is our way, she said softly. I know it's not yours. But if you want to stand beside me, truly stand beside me, you have to do this. Josh's stomach twisted. Because he knew, in that moment, this wasn't just about tradition. This was about trust. And Zaira was asking him to trust her. Josh let out a long breath. This is gonna suck, isn't it? Zaira grinned. Probably. With a sigh, Josh reached forward, dipping his fingers into the glowing liquid. It felt cool and electric, sending a strange tingling sensation up his arm. Zaira lifted her fingers to her lips and licked the glowing substance away. Josh hesitated. Please don't taste like fish. Then he put his fingers in his mouth. The moment the elixir touched his tongue, a shockwave of heat and energy surged through his entire body. His vision blurred. His mind exploded. And suddenly, he wasn't alone. A mind shared. A rush of foreign emotions slammed into Josh's brain like a tidal wave. Fierce determination, amused affection, a deep, warm sense of belonging. For a moment, he thought he was hallucinating. Then he realized. These weren't his feelings. They were Zaira's. Josh staggered back, gripping his head. Whoa, what the hell? Zaira's voice echoed in his mind. Calm down, male boy. You'll get used to it. Josh whipped around. Did you just? Zaira's golden eyes sparkled. Yes. Welcome to the bond, human. Josh was still reeling. The connection was so strange, so alien. Yet, it wasn't bad. If anything, it felt right. He could sense Zaira now, not just in front of him, but inside him. The way her heartbeat was steady, the way she was amused by his reaction, yet secretly nervous. Josh blinked. Wait, you're nervous. Zaira's eyes widened slightly. Shut up. Josh grinned. Oh, I am so gonna abuse this. Zaira groaned, rubbing her temples. I regret everything. The elder chuckled. The bond is complete. The crowd cheered, clapping their hands against their chests in the Qtala gesture of respect. Josh barely noticed. He was too busy staring at Zaira, feeling her emotions intertwining with his. He had come to Vega-9 as a nobody. Now, he was Zaira's mate. And that was just the beginning. A human among warriors. The cheering crowd slowly dispersed, leaving Josh standing in the heart of the Qtala colony, his mind still spinning from the ritual. The bonding elixir had done more than just link him and Zaira. It had opened a door inside his mind. A connection so deep that he could feel her emotions as if they were his own. And right now, she was feeling pretty damn smug. Josh shot her a glare. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Zaira's golden eyes gleamed. I don't know what you mean, mate. Josh groaned, rubbing his temples. I literally just felt you get all smug about it. You can't lie to me now. Zaira's tail flicked playfully. Ah, right. Forgot about that. Josh narrowed his eyes. No, you didn't. She grinned. Josh sighed. Great, so not only am I now officially bound to an alien warrior, but I also have no personal privacy anymore. Zyra shrugged. You'll get used to it. Josh crossed his arms. And what if I don't? Zyra stepped closer, her voice lowering to a sultry whisper. Then you'll just have to deal with it, mate. Josh's face burned. This woman was going to kill him. The challenge isn't over yet. Just as Josh was about to throw out another sarcastic comment, a deep, guttural growl interrupted them. He turned sharply, his muscles tensing. From the crowd, Vorak was stirring, pushing himself up from where he had fallen. The massive Qtali warrior looked bruised, battered, and beyond pissed. Josh instinctively stepped back, but Zyra moved in front of him, standing tall. Vorak's golden eyes locked onto Josh. This isn't over, human. Josh exhaled sharply. Oh, come on. Can't you just let me have one victory? Vorak's teeth bared in a snarl. You think you have won. You have merely taken what does not belong to you. Josh's jaw clenched. Pretty sure the whole bonding ritual says otherwise. Vorak took a step forward, but Zyra's tail lashed behind her, muscles tensed. Stand down, Vorak, she warned. The bond is sealed. Vorak's fists clenched. Then I demand a final challenge. The entire crowd gasped. Josh blinked. Okay, that sounds bad. That sounds very bad. Zyra cursed under her breath, turning to face him. It is. A final challenge is the last resort for a warrior who refuses to accept defeat. It's a trial by combat. Josh's stomach dropped. Oh, hell no. No more fighting. I'm done with fighting. Zyra's expression darkened. You don't have a choice. If you refuse, you forfeit your claim, and Vorak takes my place instead. Josh's blood ran cold. Wait, what? I forfeit? Why does it have to be about me? Zyra's tail coiled around his wrist, squeezing gently. Because you're my mate now, Josh. This is your fight too. Josh exhaled sharply. Great, so I have to fight a 7-foot alien warrior with claws, fangs, and a temper issue. How is that fair? Zyra smirked. You'll figure something out. You always do. Josh glared. That is not reassuring. The final challenge. The colony's arena was nothing more than a massive stone ring, carved into the earth with high walls surrounding it. At night, torchlight flickered along the edges, casting long shadows across the sand. Josh stood at one end, rolling his shoulders, trying not to panic. Vorak stood at the opposite end, looking far too eager to break something. Probably Josh's face. The elder stepped forward, his voice booming. The final challenge is set. No weapons, no armor, only strength, wit, and will. Josh exhaled slowly. Strength, out. Armor, out. Wit and will. Guess we're rolling with those. The elder raised his hand. Let the challenge begin. Josh barely had time to breathe before Vorak charged. Josh dodged left, narrowly avoiding a bone-crushing punch. He barely had time to react before Vorak's tail snapped out, slamming into his ribs like a whip. Josh stumbled back, gasping. Oh yeah, this was a bad idea. Vorak came at him again, faster this time. Josh ducked under a wild swing and used every ounce of adrenaline in his body to slam his elbow into Vorak's gut. The big warrior barely flinched. Josh cursed. Seriously. Vorak grabbed him by the throat and threw him across the arena. Josh hit the ground hard, sand filling his mouth. Pain exploded in his ribs. Okay, new plan. Winning was not an option. But outsmarting Vorak. That was still on the table. A human's last stand. Josh rolled to his feet, ignoring the pain. Vorak stalked toward him, smug and confident. This is over, human. You are weak. Josh wiped blood from his mouth. Yeah, well, you talk too much. Vorak snarled and lunged. Josh waited until the last second, then dropped low, sweeping out Vorak's legs. The big warrior slammed face first into the sand. Josh jumped onto his back, locking his arms around Vorak's thick neck. He wasn't stronger, but he could be smarter. He squeezed. Hard. Vorak thrashed violently, trying to throw him off. Josh held on for dear life, his arms burning. Josh. Zyra's voice echoed in his mind, sharp and urgent. Josh suddenly felt something strange, a surge of power, energy, raw determination. It wasn't his. It was hers. Their bond. Josh suddenly knew exactly where Vorak would strike next. The moment Vorak twisted, trying to break free, Josh shifted with him, locking the chokehold tighter. Vorak's movement slowed. His struggles weakened. And then, he collapsed. The arena fell silent. Josh sat back, gasping for breath. Vorak was out cold. He had won. Again. Victory and the future. Josh barely managed to stand before Zyra was at his side, gripping his shoulders. "You did it," she whispered. Josh grinned weakly. "Yeah, I think I might pass out now." She laughed and pulled him into a tight hug, her tail curling around his waist. The elder stepped forward, his voice firm and final. "Joshua Carter, human of Vega 9, you have proven your worth." The crowd cheered, Kutali warriors pounding their chests in respect. Josh leaned against Zyra, still catching his breath. "So," he muttered, "does this mean I get free mail deliveries for life?" Zyra snorted, shaking her head. "No, but it does mean you're stuck with me now, mailboy." Josh sighed dramatically. "Great. That's just perfect." But deep down, he didn't mind. Not one bit.